Wow, nice backdrop.
Yeah, look at
Thanks.
You've taken us somewhere else. You've taken transported us.
that.
Floating, floating in space.
Yeah,
Well,
we needed that. We needed that.
thanks for talking to me, both of you. I appreciate it. I'm enjoying this series so far. So to start off, why don't you both just talk about what was it that made you want to be a part of it? We'll just go Jim, then Rory.
Yeah, for me, I mean, definitely the sort of music side of it was sort of got my antennas kind of up and was like, oh, this could be interesting. What's this? I was as wary as I was excited. I was kind of nervous, just knowing that everybody has their own version of what is a good song, what's a good band, what's a good piece of music. So, was it going to align? Were we going to be able to find ground where I felt excited about the music we were using in the show? Um, yeah, and then ultimately for me, actually, it was the relationships that the certainly the older Daniel that I play in the show finds himself in, and where we find him in the story, that he's in this sort of really complicated, nuanced, sort of messy, sort of conflicted kind of relationship with somebody that has clearly been a love of his in the past, and they're just not quite sort of finding that energy anymore, and whether they ever had it because he was always in love with somebody else, or and so there was a lot to sort of, from an acting point of view, there felt like a lot to kind of dive into and investigate and to kind of use my own personal experiences, which doesn't often happen. Sometimes, it was so visceral and sort of raw in my own life that I felt very sort of connected to what the older Daniel was certainly going through. And yeah, and just sort of knowing that maybe you're not sharing the same sort of passions as the person that you're with, and that there's something kind of maybe missing, but you're both good people, and maybe you're behaving badly because you don't quite know how to sort of navigate the situation. Yeah, all that stuff felt very raw and very real to me. So yeah, that was really what pulled me in
Yeah.
first. And then we had to try and figure out what the music language of the show was going to be.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the writing. I thought the scripts were great. That was kind of what I the first time I was like, okay, right, I really do want to be part of this. That horrible feeling when you don't know you've got it, but you really want to be part of it. I was excited to kind of go back to what it was like in the 80s, especially kind of Sheffield, so Northern England, which kind of I'm from Manchester, so it was nice. It was almost like I was going back in time. That was kind of exciting, and also like Jim said, the relationships. I thought what Dan and Alison had, especially that, was really nice and sweet, and you don't really see that kind of relationship too often these days on like a, I don't know, TV series. So yeah, it was kind of exciting to explore that, and the whole music thing tied into it just great. Like throughout the script there were certain songs tied in, and I keep saying it's like it was almost like what they were thinking was coming across with the music. And I just, I was just really excited, and I hadn't had anything before, so it was very much I just needed something. Yeah.
So, did you both work in a sense together to emulate each other to kind of make the character cohesively the same character? Is there anything you both did like purposely to connect it together, if that makes sense?
I wish we had, I wish we could say yes, but we were sort of the way it kind of worked. I was already filming in Australia when Rory got cast. Um, the beautiful thing is that I was kind of in on the casting, like Lucy Gaffey, who's very inclusive and really kind of wide open with what she does. Asked me and asked my opinion, and what did she think about some of the people that she was looking at, and was there anybody that I felt a kind of kinship with, or that I felt sort of was representing a younger version of the character that I was playing. So that sort of took us over quite a lot of hurdles from the off. That I could sort of see what Rory was doing, gauge his kind of energy and his just and what he was bringing as an actor, and just kind of go, yeah, that's the guy right there. He's giving everything that I feel I would like Daniel, and a young version of Daniel, to be. So that got us through quite a lot, didn't it?
Yeah. We had a day or so to kind of meet each other as well, and I got to see Jim film a scene. So that was it was. I mean, I was already halfway there. As Jim said, he was kind of finding someone who was going to match him. So it was just kind of I was just bothered about the movement and the way he spoke. But yeah, as I said, I was kind of halfway there, so I was quite lucky. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Right.
important to everybody that the two versions were, you could believe it, in more than just the way they look, just that there's an energy there and a youthful energy versus a sort of older energy because, in the show it really does sort of mesh together. You can literally cut from my face to his face, back to my face, back to Alison, back to, it's doing that rather than you see them as a young couple and then you catch them later on as an older couple. It's all interwoven throughout the story. So it was really important, I think, for everybody to make sure that, the two versions had a sort of a kinship and a connection.
Well, definitely worked. Now, Rory, I don't know how old you are, but I'm guessing you probably weren't alive in the 80s. So what was it like, kind of, I mean, you may have seen cassettes before, I don't know, but I'm guessing it was before your time. But what was it like for you, kind of, I guess, working with that as an actor?
Yeah, no,
Sorry, that was asked in a weird way, but
no, it's fine. No, I get it. Yeah, it was like a whole new world. It was like something when I got the role, the first thing I did was go back and listen to what people would be listening to at that time, and like there really was, like I said before, I was on different like Reddit pages, and people who lived in that area were kind of sharing where they'd go, like pub wise and like music band wise, and it was like yeah, it was great. It honestly felt like I was getting transported back, and a lot of where we were filming in Ireland kind of replicated what it would have been like in Sheffield at that time. So honestly, and the costumes, it all kind of played into it, and all I had to do was kind of be in the scene and uh, and speak with that accent, kind of, and I was there. So it was no, it was really really interesting for me. Yeah, it was great fun.
and Jim, I was going to say, I don't know if you were quite a teen at that time, but I'm sure you were still, heard a lot of that music growing up. Was it nostalgic for you watching, his scenes?
Yeah, massively, massively. Because weirdly, I did love that. When I was 17, even though I wasn't 17 in 1988, that was the music I was listening to when I was 17. I had an older brother and all his mates, and they were introducing us to a lot of the sort of bands out of the north of England and Manchester in particular. And Manchester had a big, big music kind of scene happening in the sort of late 80s and the early 90s. So yeah, and just seeing, the mixtapes as well, just remembering making mixtapes as a romantic gesture to various girls at school and, the time that I would put into making a mixtape and writing all the track lists and doing artwork on the front, really, really thinking about what track I was going to put with what and how the flow of the mixtape sort of went from the beginning to the end. And, all that stuff was a big part of my youth growing up. So yeah, to sort of see it in the show and to sort of have it come to life again in this TV show, it was really exciting and very nostalgic.
Did either of you was there anything you had trouble connecting with the character? Because it seemed like it went pretty well, but was there anything that you struggled with at all for either of you?
I mean, again, like when with the later years of Daniel's later life, I felt very sort of personally connected to where he's at in his life too, through various sort of failed relationships and knowing things that have happened to friends of mine who've gone through divorces and raised kids and all the things that sort of happen to you in your later years. So yeah, I was really just drawn to that. I was really kind of impressed with how they managed to write that on the page and sort of create these very real and very nuanced sort of characters. So it actually did feel quite cathartic and therapeutic, and we were allowed to bring a lot of our own personal experiences that Lucy would allow us to sort of bring into the characters and into the room and into the conversation. So yeah, it never felt like I couldn't connect with it. I always felt sort of quite deeply connected actually to quite a lot of it, more so than in other projects.
I kind of struggled to kind of the main point of the show. I've never really bonded with someone on that level over music. But I came to as soon as I started kind of researching about it, it kind of got cleared up for me. But obviously, I'd made mixtapes for people, so that was a whole new world for me. And that's as soon as I started doing it and figuring things out, it made more sense. But at the start, I was a bit nervous about trying to connect to that specifically. Yeah.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much, both of you. I know we're out of time, but I appreciate it. I did enjoy the series. Looking forward to seeing the last two. I guess there's 4 episodes from what I gathered. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
I saw two,
yeah.
so I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of it. So,
All right, cool. Well, thank
Right.
you.
Thank you
thanks.
very
Have a good
much.
rest of your day.
You
Bye
too.
And
bye.
you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye bye.